Hello and welcome to FTP, the Future Tech and Policy podcast, where we take a closer look at the tech news and trends that have hit our inboxes over the last couple of weeks, and we discuss what's happening with an eye for opportunity, policy, and social impact. We are sponsored by the Institute of Government and Public Affairs, a research center housed at the University of Illinois System. We are joined by faculty affiliates on the panel at all three UI System universities in Urbana-Champaign, Chicago, and Springfield. IGPA conducts interdisciplinary nonpartisan research by bringing faculty expertise together across disciplines to policy discussions regarding the top issues facing Illinoisans. Here on the FTP show, we have that same goal. We're trying to bring faculty members together, chat on our panel here from the three universities in the system to discuss big tech issues of the day with an eye toward the future and ensure a positive impact of tech on society by joining the public discussion, making research more applicable, and just looking at the social impact of a lot of today's emerging technologies. I'm your host, Jeremy Riel. I'm an assistant professor of educational psychology and technology at the University of Illinois, Chicago. I research the design and use of AI in simulation-based systems in education, as well as how we can support educators and students with using and learning about AI in productive, responsible, and safe ways. I'm also the co-lead for the Science and Technology Working Group at IGPA, which produces this podcast, where I have the pleasure of working with this interdisciplinary group of panelists on the show and others who are interested in exploring how technology, science, and society all intersect and how we can build the best solutions to shared social challenges. So I'm going to let the other panelists introduce themselves. I've got Zach and Ken today. Let's go with Zach first.
Hi, my name is Zach McDowell. I'm an associate professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago in the Department of Communication. Most of my research focuses on, well, what counts as information, and I do a lot of research on Wikipedia.
All right, hi, my name is Ken Saw. I'm an adjunct professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago and the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where I teach AI classes, AI law and policy at UIC and AI and data privacy at U of I.
And you're recently at Urbana now too. So you're working at both schools with AI courses with law students.
Yeah, that's right.
That's cool. Congrats on that. That's a new development. So that's pretty cool. I wish I could take one of your classes. For today's show, like all of our shows, we take a look at trends that are happening in the news. We're going to see some of the headlines, and we're going to think about, we have various disciplinary perspectives here, so we just kind of see how things fit from our different perspectives. First up, I had to laugh at this, but it made me kind of sick at the same time, right? So Zach, being our residential Wikipedia expert, will also be able to help us with this. But first article up is, so Wikipedia volunteers spent pretty long time cataloging all of the different ways that AI are visible in an article, like that this was written by AI, or how things are written by AI, right? And so the community came out together to build this. They all jumped in. Here's all the different ways that we've identified. Like, if you're an editor at Wikipedia, it's like, okay, hey, pay attention to these 20 some items that, if it has this, it might be AI. If it has this, it might be AI. So they released this list, and I don't know how long in between releasing the list and this happened, but then somebody immediately took the list and made a plugin that, when you're using AI to write, it just takes all those items and says, don't do this. So don't write like AI. Right. That's the biggest problem. We're professors. We see AI papers all the time. You tell your students, don't make it sound like AI. But hey, you just tell your AI to not sound like AI. But all that hard work that the Wikipedians did also just kind of, where did that go?
Well, so this was really set up by Wikipedians to figure out how to tag Wikipedia articles that were written by AI so that they can go through and human review them, right? But at the same time, this is the thing with any open knowledge. The the issue right now with AI systems, and I've said this a few times before, is that most kind of like open culture, open source kind of things were meant for, I mean, obviously they were meant to interact with machines, since the open, movement kind of started with open software, right? But it was about people getting code or getting information and feeding, so you could build things with them yourself. And now what is going on is we're just constantly like feeding grist and teaching the machines on how to be better and all these things. And I got to be honest, people are getting a little frustrated with that, because they're like, wait, we did this for a reason, and we want to help. So this was inevitable, right? Like, obviously you create a great tool to help people out, like the you can imagine like the like the evil tech bros are like, let's find a way to use yours for the power of bad. And I'm like, okay, cool. The thing is, we're if we're going to do an arms race, they're always going to win, right? So the game has never been about this. And you know what? If you can teach an AI to write better, then I guess that's, well, what was going to happen anyway. So c'est la vie. We got to look for other ways to find things, because it was always going to be that way.
Yeah. Ken, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You do a lot of writing yourself. Legal is definitely an area that's been looking at AI and how not to sound like AI.
Yeah, and we tell students, young associates, our only job as lawyers is to read and write. We read and write the law, but anyone can read and write, right? So if you're outsourcing that, then you're really outsourcing your value. Now, whether that's a winning argument in the long term I think, remains to be seen. But I mean, it is concerning, right? Like, and it's not bad, right? I use what's Copilot, and it will summarize an email for me, and it's not bad, right? And if it's not substantive, I might ask it for a suggested response. But I think when you start getting into very substantive, nuanced arguments, people become too complacent and start to rely on the technology. But I think making it sound less like AI is great in some ways, but people should be careful that it's because it's not improving the writing, it's just changing some of the semantics. So
it's just changing the tone.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if a case doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. And it's in the back of the thing and a judge finds it, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind too, courts, papers, they all have page limits. If your 10 pages could have been half a page, that should tell you something, right?
Yeah, but will page limits matter in the new courts when everything's read by AI too, right?
I've said for a long time, one of the big things that people said, oh, well, if it uses a bunch of M dashes, it's probably AI. And I'm like,
well, that's on the Wikipedia list, though.
I know. And I'm like, did y'all just like all the things I've ever published, all are filled with M dashes. I love M dashes. I feel like this is what happens when AIs are trained on all of our writing.
Well, I like it. It's a nice connective pause.
There's nothing wrong with an M dash. It's the only thing that I can point to and be like, hey, you got that right. Good on you, AI.
So related, there's a group called ChatGPT Zero, and I think their primary product is trying to identify whether something is AI written or not. And
it's marketed towards the professors.
Yeah, there was the premier AI, one of the premier AI conferences, NeurIPS. The accepted papers were analyzed for that, and GPT Zero found over 100 new hallucinations in those papers. And so at the top AI conferences, all the top professors and top grad students and top researchers are publishing at, found 100 papers that had citations that were completely fabricated. So obviously AI, but I mean, I feel like this is an easy fix. This could be something that you could automate to just go check. Like if you are gonna use it, go check. Have it automated. Like I got this list of citations. I have it do a search. Is this actually existing somewhere? Or great for the whole review process, right? I mean, this has got to be a tool that exists somewhere, and if it doesn't, it needs to exist here pretty soon. But reviewing is a tough job too, and it takes a lot of effort. I can't go check every paper. Zach, what do you think?
I think that this is a tool that we desperately need in the academic community. Every single editor I know, I edit a very small journal, but I peer review quite a bit. Every single editor I know is inundated, and everyone who I know who is on the board of these larger journals that are getting a couple hundred papers a month, they're like 9 times out of 10 we're finding and I don't have time to go through this. Just now I'm just like police, and if I could just run every single paper through these first. So, and then congratulations, if you've submitted that after saying that you didn't, you're banned. Congratulations. You are no longer allowed to do this.
This is where I think this needs to maybe kind of go, is some kind of disincentive. I don't know if it's banned, but I know courts, like, I've seen people get held in contempt and things like that if they, are filing briefs with fake stuff, and you've seen those kind of headlines. But I haven't really seen, other than retractions of journals, like too much penalty yet for.
I mean, this is there's I think there's a different level of malice, right, that goes around in different kind of ways in which people have messed around, and I think this is something I've said a lot, and I say this all the time. And when you get really mad at bad drivers, whatever, it's because they're being they're cutting ahead. They're basically saying to you, I'm more important than you. My time's more important than you. And what I want to say to all of the people who are just shoving a bunch of slop in, and I'm not saying you can't use tools to help you write, to summarize your ideas, things like that. But if you're to the level where you are citing things that don't exist, that means that you're having an AI system write whole swaths of text, and you are not even reading them through. That, I think, you need to be hung out to dry for a while.
Is it even your idea at that point? Like,
exactly.
The whole thing is we're in the business of ideas.
Full-scale plagiarization of like a bunch of other ideas. It's not your idea. You shouldn't have your name on it. You should be put in timeout for a while. And honestly, all of the big journals should be sharing those names, and we can start to weed folks out. Maybe we come up with 3 strikes. I don't know. But the point is, people are super inundated, and all of this labor is free, right? Like, this is volunteer labor. This is labor that is precious to us. Like, we don't do this for money.
Wikipedia or academic
any of this. Yeah. But like, you're wasting people's time, and you're wasting people's time because you think that you deserve some sort of accolade by getting it in a journal, and you think that you're being sneaky and getting away with it. I'm sorry, I don't know how to describe how awful that is. And if people think that that's okay, then I don't think that they belong in our academic community.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was going to be my question on this topic, is if there's any actual.
Where are you at, Ken?
Oh. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
I
got you.
I think you're back.
That was going to be my question, is there's disincentive on this. And it sounds like there's not.
I mean, if you're caught, and you have to be caught by hand right now, many editors will put you on a no-no list. Okay. Right? But like, this is, I mean, I think we all, there's a reason why I had the last year I put an editor panel together at Association of Internet Researchers, and I'm probably going to do it again, because I want editors to talk to each other. How are we handling these things? How are we managing this? Are there tools that can automate this a little bit better? And I love this idea. And if there's an open source thing, I want to talk to the folks who are running the back ends of a variety of journals and see if we can get this as part of the submission, right? go to the citations.
Well, this is very
go through
rule
them,
based.
and
This is not really like AI creative. In
I
any
know
way.
this is
would
very
just be
simple. You just
citation check,
you just
citation check, put it into Scopus, like
100%.
bam, 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 bam.
This is not hard, and someone can do this very, very simply. It does not need to be a special tool. Somebody's probably already doing it. The code's already out there, and if not, maybe you can get Claude to write it for you.
Yeah. Zach, let's talk after. Maybe we can, revolutionize the publishing industry together.
I mean, you'd be saving us a lot of time, and we would be very happy, and everyone would
having a
want to
lot
buy
of
us
fun
a
with
drink.
Claude lately, for sure. All right, let's move on. Next one, industry disruption. We hear it every time new technology comes out. Of course, we're hearing it a lot with AI. Obviously, it's hitting every industry. I mean, there obviously has been some disruption, but then we always hear the doom and gloom every time something big comes out. We heard it with calculators in education, and when calculators came out, then we heard about it with the internet, and again with the Wikipedia Act. Wikipedia is terrible for education, and yet it's one of the biggest educating tools and informational tools that are out there. But this idea of
thousands of students who've learned from Wikipedia, tens of thousands.
Me, when I'm randomly sitting, it's not just even students. Just I want to know more about a thing, and I fall down the rabbit hole. But this idea of disruption and new opportunities afforded by AI, specifically this week, there were a lot of speeches at Davos at the World Economic Forum. A lot of CEOs had a chance to speak to world leaders. World leaders had a chance to speak. There was a common theme, though, of like how AI is changing the world, and how AI is changing the workforce, and how AI is changing the economies of various countries and globally, right? So, aside from that, all the speeches we had, a couple interesting things that were also released. Anthropic at the same time released their kind of annual economic index report. They call it an economic index, and it shows the different ways that not ChatGPT, but Claude with Anthropic, the way that people are using it for what tasks in their everyday work, and kind of what kind of tasks they use. And that was interesting to see that there were a lot of new work categories that were popping up this year as people discovered the value of AI for saving time, helping them do certain tasks that can be automated, as opposed to, just like it's purely a chatbot that I'm a friend with. It's also maybe a productivity tool and can help me transform my work. So curious to hear about your thoughts. We can talk about a couple of these specific claims that were made in some of the speeches, like Anthropic's CEO saying that if there are dramatic disruptions in, caused by AI, and there is a big upside, but it's not enjoyed by everybody, that the governments of the world should help ensure that the economic upside is shared across the public. We have Palantir CEO saying AI will, quote, destroy the humanities jobs that are out there, but there's a lot of other jobs that are going to open up as a result. So there's a lot of disruption, as we've said, but there's also opportunity, and so curious to hear both your thoughts on that.
Ken, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like the take on the humanities jobs, and full disclosure, I don't have a humanities background. I think what he means, if I'm being generous, is that it will destroy what humanities looks like today. But in some ways, I think it makes those skills that we think of as classic humanities more valuable, right? So I have a computer science degree, and you're probably not going to find pure computer science majors anymore, because who needs to learn?
Fundamentally, computing is changing.
It's just
idea engineering. It's not code anymore. If Claude Code can just
exactly, no one needs to learn. I learned what C. Like C is not going to be a class.
And before that was assembly, and
assembly.
go further back.
But But the kind of the classic idea of humanities is that you're supposed to learn how to communicate, debate each other, understand history. I think that will become more valuable. I think there's a real debate about whether or not the current humanities education system provides that. I have no comment on that part of it, but I just think that those skills will be more valuable. So I agree with them in some ways, just not in others. And we kind of see it too, like with our students, right? Who's really going to be able to work with other people? That's more valuable these days.
Yeah,
right?
some of the skills that cut across discipline: critical thinking, the ability to follow through on tasks. Can you dissect a task into smaller tasks? A lot of these kinds of things.
Leadership, management,
Yeah.
those are those skills I think are going to become more valuable earlier on in everyone's careers.
Yeah, and I think this is the big thing. And so I'm in the Department of Communication, which we're constantly in between whether or not some of us are a little bit more humanities or we're a little bit more social scientific. And I constantly bounce around with I would say I'm a humanistic social scientist that with a heavy policy kind of focus, which I think that policy analysis is a humanities pursuit in many ways, right? Like you say you don't have a background in that, Ken, but you understand people. You're a lawyer. Like being a lawyer isn't about just knowing the law. It's about understanding how people react to the law and how people actually engage within those systems, right? Like when you do a policy analysis, you don't go, this is a good policy or bad policy, or this is what it does. No, you understand how people enforce that. Does it have teeth? Does it not have teeth? Like, what are the incentives? Like all of these different things, those are humanities types of ways of thinking, right? So we constantly are trying to say, hey, look, these are the critical skills that one needs to be a leader, to be a manager, to understand things. You know what? I do want them to be reading, the classics. I want them reading the Greeks. I want them reading Shakespeare.
We're all instructors here. I want them reading.
Yeah, correct.
Right now,
I want them reading.
That is a big issue right now. Is getting anybody to engage with a book length work is much tougher now than it has been before in the age of micromedia, right?
Of course. But like the idea that they're saying the humanities jobs, like I think this guy has a PhD in philosophy from Goethe. Like I think that he's envisioning humanities jobs in a little bit different way, maybe sometimes. I think that that and I also don't trust Palantir at all because they're basically making the tools that are just the highest surveillance. So like either there's going to be no humanities jobs because everyone's going to be a prison guard, or there's going to be everything's going to be a humanities job. But if everything's a humanities job, nothing's a humanities job. So who knows? Maybe that's my philosophy 2 cents on that. I think the big thing about this is thinking about the larger question about what a lot of them are trying to say about the economic impact of a lot of these tools. And there's 2 things going on there, right? One is they're saying, look, there's going to be economic impact. And the hidden part that they're saying is that we're the ones who are going to be making all the money. And then there's going to be no money for everyone else. So the government has to step in and help out. And this has been a push for a very long time from a variety of different people. But the libertarians, especially the type of libertarians who run these tech companies, have been pushing for UBI for a really long time, universal basic income. And I think this is what they're trying to say is that if we think that you're going to keep giving us money, you're going to keep giving us money so we can create all these tools because you're afraid of what happens if we don't. And by the way, get ready because you're going to have a lot of people who need to eat and will revolt if they don't eat. So I think we're getting to a place where they're at least saying the parts of the quiet part out loud, which is we recognize that what we want to do with these technologies is actually replace a lot of different labor in ways that, yes, I think the humanities are going to be especially helpful for people, but I'm not sure who's going to get paid anymore.
Yeah.
Who's doing the actual work for hire is a lot of these tools that they've been developed and then are owned by these companies. So they're saying, hey, governments, you're going to have to start giving people money or tokens or whatever, or else they're going to starve. So.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you say that about labor, because I worry more about the discretion, right? We're like offloading the discretion. Yeah. That's what we are. We're all just providing our discretion.
We want to wash our hand. They want to wash their hands about like, oh no, this is not our fault. It's just the code. I'm like, no, people are starving and dead over here. Maybe we'll fix the code.
Yeah, it's
who takes responsibility?
For me too, especially in like thinking of the humanities and the products that the humanities generates, especially as we start to see way more slop and just flooded with slop. And even if it's good AI slop, right, it's still, I think there's going to be we don't really see it quite yet, but a craving for real, a craving for human created. I just get this vibe. I don't know if there's not a ton of evidence. I've been seeing headlines like people going back to cassette players and just go back to some of the old analog. They've remade the Commodore computer. It is available for pre-order now. It is exactly the same thing. It just runs kind of on more modern parts, and you can put a USB drive in it. But why would that be a thing? Well, if people are craving more real, more of an analog life, more of a really actually human generated, and can discern the difference between human generated versus artificially generated, I think that there might be a whole market for that we don't even know yet. Like it'll get a resurgence rather, right?
The kids say you should get out and touch grass, but I think that the new ones are also like, I want to touch the pixels, right? Like I want to see the pixels. I want the pixel art, not the
don't touch the art.
Yeah, I don't want to pretend. I want to know that this is a game, right? So I think that there's a nostalgia for that, but I think that's we always want to be careful when we're thinking about like what does the nostalgia actually mean? Like, is it also like a longing for a time when things were a little simpler and we're a little less stressed out about the future? Maybe that might also be it.
I think of video gaming for me, I still love my old Nintendo from the 80s. Those games are super hard, but they're very simple by today's standards in terms of today's games that are incredibly spread out, breadth-wise, take you hours and hours to play. A lot of those old Nintendo games I could beat in, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes if you know the way to do it. But in terms of complexity, they're much smaller, but they're still tons of fun. And now you see new stuff being created kind of on the same premise, like new pixel games. Zach, you're talking about pixels. You see this old pixel art has a huge resurgence right now. People love it. Part of it, that's nostalgia, obviously. All of us 80s kids who, are now with extra money and can buy more games.
Yeah, we have disposable income now.
I don't know. Is there something more real about that? I don't know. Like I just, it's kind of something that's been stuck in my head lately, is this realness, or this human created, because somebody in an old Nintendo had to hand code all of those pixels into the code that goes into those cartridges and stuff. So it's not AI generated by any computer generated by any means. All right, let's hop over to the next one. A lot of interest around the country on age verification lately. There's several laws that have taken effect around the country on age verification. This is not directly related to AI. This is just in general. You've got social media, you've got adult sites, you've got all kinds of content that has been put under some kind of age blockade, right? It's you need to have some kind of verification to do it. And this last week or two, OpenAI released, interestingly, a statement and explained how they're now doing age verification on their systems. And so it's not an outright like send us a picture of your ID to prove that you're 18 or whatever. They do ask somebody's age when they sign up. So ChatGPT does not allow you to use it if you're under 13. It's against the terms of service. But they're of course interested if somebody's using it between the age of 13 and 18. And the way they're doing it is purely algorithmic. They're just looking at somebody's history throughout all their chats and also their login logs. So when are you using it? Is it during school hours? Is it not during school hours? Is when are you using it? What are you asking about? How do you talk? How do you type? Those kinds of things are all at play here. We don't know what their algorithm is necessarily, but they're doing it all behind the scenes and making assumptions mathematically, algorithmically about somebody. So this is different than the law we talked about in a previous episode, or not a law, but Roblox was interested and has been trying to adopt a new age verification system. They were just going to use the face of somebody on a webcam and make an assumption about their age just on the image. And of course, that raised a bunch of data questions for us, like who's is that data being stored? Where is it being stored? Who gets it? Who's being sold to? That kind of stuff. Now, this is just living on ChatGPT's logs, right? But if OpenAI is making now distilled assumptions, and now that's also like a fingerprint almost, or some kind of extra piece of information on somebody, raises my questions of what else can be assumed or what else is being created secondarily from the data with companies that you interact with, that kind of stuff. So curious to hear your thoughts. Privacy, security, child safety, obviously these are all important things, but actually verifying somebody's age is a tough thing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. All that data is already being used all the time to try to figure out exactly who to market to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like these are
and ChatGPT just released. They said that they're going to put ads into the
right. So like this
system,
is
in
just marketing data
when you chat.
So we can have all of our. There's plenty of conversations to have about privacy and all these things about that, but this is already things that have been. This is just the next level of whatever has been going on with that already. The concern I have is two things. One, that when this is being used, is it going to become kind of a way that, as you were saying, parents will just click OK, right? People aren't going to read. They don't know.
Hey, mom, whatever. I need this.
So all of a sudden we've got this, oh, this is age verified, right? This is age verified. But like, is it? Like, how does it really work? You don't know. If you've got somebody who's like really, really into 6-year-old kind of stuff, and maybe they're age verified a little bit differently, we can build all sorts of different kind of ways to spoof, cookies. That's not hard. But then after that, it's the, like, how do we actually, this question that people keep coming around to is like, how do you keep your kids safe? And it's like, yeah, you have to understand these things, and people want to like wash their hands again and be like, I did the good job. I did everything I was supposed to do, because they want to not be freaking out, because guess what? The internet and the world can be a scary place. But this idea that you can figure out and exactly who you are and how old you are is bupkis. I just recently got rid of Spotify. I got a little tired of them. But last year's Spotify rap said, "What is your listening age?" And apparently, I'm 65. So I don't think that I don't trust the algorithms to understand, especially for those of us who are a little weird and have a very wide variety of things. But I think it gets dangerous when we start allowing people to, believe that they're safe because of these systems that they don't understand how they work. That's
well, and then there's the due diligence, like you see that,
right, the due diligence.
Yeah, I'm the company. I did my due diligence. We're all okay, right?
Right. Or I'm a parent and I did my due diligence, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the idea. They're trying to sell trust, but they're doing it so awfully that I wonder how ever can we trust these things.
And I work in ed tech, so I mean, almost exclusively working in technologies, working with minors a lot of times. So this obviously is a big issue, but these are oftentimes technology is designed specifically for minors with that in mind, and working with schools. So these are all conversations that are happening, or else you're not going into a classroom. You're not going to be used by a class. You got to have all that in. But these are big consumer products, Roblox and ChatGPT. Interestingly, Chicago Public Schools is not allowing use of ChatGPT now, just because it's not a authorized provider, but they do have the contract with Google, who they have entered in all those discussions with about how the data are kept, stored, etc. And like you said, Zach, it's about trust. It's about knowing that there's an agreement in place for all of the protocols on how things are shared. So, Ken, curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I guess I do think a lot of this is trying to create some trust, right? So you throw AI on it and then say, "Hey, don't worry." It wasn't that long ago we were kind of, as a society, all up in arms over like Facebook, right? What are they doing with the metadata about us, and how are they targeting our ads? And obviously, companies have a right to do certain things, and policymakers allow that.
Well, that old saying that you are the product if it's free.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But now we're going to do a 180 and feel more comfortable with it because it's AI. It just seems odd, right? Like we just have to decide which lane. Are we like mistrustful and we need to put up all these guardrails around companies, or are we going to say it's okay because they're tech companies? And I think we're just going to have buyer's remorse in the end.
I am super curious to see how they're going to implement ads on ChatGPT, because you're having chat. And have you tried this Amazon product that is like just like what you're talking about right now?
Exactly. We found the answer. And by the way, it's on sale this week.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've got an answer for you.
Or a sale for you right now, just for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, algorithmic pricing, there's like or crank up the price.
Yeah, it's like the airlines. If you're shopping for tickets, don't use a Mac because you pay 10% more. It's just like they just figure out who you are and decided that your price elasticity was higher, and so they just charge you more. This is like it seems crazy, but it holds.
No, there's actual data to back this stuff up. There was a recent one, and Instacart was giving different prices to different people in the same area, and it was wait, what? So just experiments with and we've got this policy study coming out soon with our working group, and one of the areas in that was algorithmic pricing. And there's like a couple states really only that have started to take a look at this, but interesting aspect of fairness and like you said, price elasticity. Like if people are willing to pay, should I be able to charge more or less or whatever? Yeah. You can always let something go on sale and pay less, but the idea of paying more, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, my view has always been companies are companies. They have one incentive, right? They have to take care of their shareholders or owners or however they're structured. But I think the policymakers have to shape policy with that in mind, right? So that they can't be surprised by these kinds of algorithmic decisions. It's just how it works.
Yeah. We're going to see a lot more in that, though. This is only just scratching the surface, but with OpenAI confirming, because it was funny because the news was like something leaked about OpenAI going to be doing ads in ChatGPT, particularly the free tier. And, everybody's all, oh, ads in ChatGPT, how dare they? This is going to be terrible. But then it was like back in December, and then just recently we're actually going to do that, guys. This is happening. We don't know exactly how or when, but it's going to happen. So definitely raises a lot of questions, but the whole like ad by chat the whole interface is going to be different, because I can always close out of a pop-up if this is embedded in help me find 10 destinations for my trip, and help me build a travel plan, and then you've got ads embedded throughout and you get directed to those. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting play. See how that goes out. I don't want to knock it yet, because maybe it'll help me find that one product I didn't know I wanted, because if
right.
you know, chat starts to get to know me better, it's going to point me right in the right direction for that thing that I didn't know I needed, but now I do. All right, so we're going to close out here. We've had a nice little chat. We'll see everybody on the next episode, and I hope to see you both again on a episode coming up. Well, we got a couple minutes left. What are you both up to? Anything interesting coming up that you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm just grinding with the start of the year.
Start of the
What's
semester.
wrong?
I mean,
Yeah.
we're on week 3, right, in the academic calendar, and it's busy.
This is the grind, and getting you know, and just knocking on whatever we have to hope that students have started to learn that please just stop giving me AI slop. Please stop.
Use the Wikipedia plugin. Use the plugin that will make your AI not sound like AI.
Yeah, just stop. Just give me your actual thoughts. I don't even care if they're kind of bad.
Well, that's how I think a lot of this is going to go, because if writing is it's gonna be this way. It's about the ideas. It's gonna be about the ideas. And is it an original idea or is it a computer generated idea? Like, I don't know, take ownership of it. Like some of the journals, like policies on AI that I've seen for academic journals, is we're increasingly seeing more okay with using AI to help you with your writing process, to help you clarify, to help you copy edit, to help you do even data. Obviously, you can use AI for data analysis and stuff like that if it's well documented and systematic, but don't just have it generate your paper for you and then submit the paper. I mean, that's not an idea. That's not contributing to science.
Right. That's just awful.
And then there's that whole thing about AI eventually eating its tail too, right? Like you got the AI dragon that eats its tail.
Oh no, then we're just gonna then we end up with model collapse. This is the big problem with that. So, you know, it would be really nice if the academics weren't there, you know, trying to rush the model collapse as fast as possible. You know, I figured that would be, you know,
just to get another paper into NeurIPS, right?
Yeah, I know. This just shows it's all the same system. It's different currency.
Oh my gosh.
One thing I'd like to plug is it's soon to be available, but everybody listening in, our working group will be publishing a website here pretty shortly called the AI Policy Atlas, which is a data explorer for every AI law that's been passed among the 50 states for the last 3 years. So keep an eye out for that. This is a real exciting project for us, and we hope will be a super valuable tool for just public discourse in Illinois, policymakers, the public in Illinois and beyond. Really, we think this will be a valuable resource for everybody. But we're super excited to get this out and share it with everybody. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be posting more about that, and we'll definitely be talking about it in future episodes as well. And kind of the findings that we also collectively did. We have a policy study coming out with that data here pretty shortly as well. And kind of looking at the different categories. And so, you know, each of our podcast episodes going forward may actually be focused on, you know, a little bit of the portion focused on one of the areas that we identified of, you know, themes in policies across the states and kind of comparisons between those types of policies. So really excited about that. I just want to plug that a little bit. Keep an eye out for that. That's a little teaser right now because I don't got anything to share, but it's coming out soon. So thank you for listening to the podcast today. Links to the articles that we mentioned are available in the description below, and also on the episode info where you get your podcasts. You'll also find links for us, the panelists, our bios, that kind of stuff, and information about IGPA and our working group in that description section. One quick reminder before we close is that all opinions expressed on this show are those of the individual panelists and not the opinions of the University of Illinois System, the Institute of Government and Public Affairs, or the 3 constituent UI universities in Urbana-Champaign, Chicago, or Springfield. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you listening along on our next episode.